Hello everyone and welcome to a pretty popular mid-size SUV which is the 2025 Ford Explorer, and it now comes with freshened up exteriors as well as the interiors. So this new Ford Explorer is offered in 4 different trims: Active, ST Line, Platinum and the ST variant. And the particular variant that I am reviewing is the Explorer ST line. And in terms of the appearance, the Active is basically the base model, whereas the ST line, which is the sport technology pack, it's more sportier version of this, and that comes with the 3-liter V6 engine, whereas the Active, ST line and the Platinum, they all come with the 2.3-liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost turbocharged engine. And in terms of the Platinum variant also, that is offered with the 3-liter V6 engine as an optional extra. Now let's continue with the front design. So you have this big round grille, which is again pretty similar to the previous generation, just that some of these headlights and the bits out here at the bottom side of the bumper have been redesigned. This is a glossy black grille out here, big chunky one with the Ford badging and the Explorer badging in the black. At the bottom, again more glossy plastic strip at the bottom, and around that there is just like normal plastic with more opening for the cooling. And you will find these inserts around the edges of the bumper, and there are also functional vents, so air goes inside and channels from the back. And also there are these fog lights, so these are the LED fog lights that are provided on this Explorer ST line variant. And also these fog lights, when they are not being used as fog lights, they help to be used as cornering lights, so they would function like that based on the steering input. Now when you come to these headlights, so you have the full set of LED headlights provided on this Explorer. The top bits, there is like a line on top that acts like a DRL, and that same DRL also converts into the turn signals, whereas the main headlight cluster is completely in LED. And underneath the bonnet sits a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine, and there is also one of the cameras in the front glass, which is used for the active and the passive safety system, as well as the Ford's Blue Cruise 1.2. Now out here on the sides, there are these optional 21-inch gunmetal finished aluminum wheels with the red color calipers, and same goes for the rear too. And these 21-inch wheels are optional, whereas the standard ones are 20 inches, and for the active variant it's got the 18-inch wheels as an option. So on this ST line, these are the upgraded ones. There are also these body skirtings on the fender in normal black plastic, protect your actual fender. At the bottom, more skirtings that are provided that go underneath the door, so they cover the entire frame, again in normal plastic. Even in the rear, there are skirtings provided. Now when we come to these side mirrors, these are glossy black side mirrors. They are power foldable, power adjustable. They have the blind spot warning on the inside, and also the turn lights on the edge, and one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. When we come to these doors, so all 4 doors are keyless entry doors. There's also ST line badging on the door sills, and there's also this metal roof rail. It's actual metal and not like plastic ones or like cheaped out ones. So really nice and sturdy roof rails provided, and this extra glass in the back because this has the 3rd row of seat too, so that's to give additional bit of visibility for the 3rd row of passengers. And the Explorer comes with the 4-wheel drive system as standard, but it's also got an optional rear wheel drive option if you want to opt for that. Now in the rear, there are these redesigned tail lights. In the previous generation, they used to be just these vertical blocks, but now they are also extended into the trunk door. And the rear tail lights are completely LED, turn signals, brake lights, reverse lights, everything is completely in LED. There's also this Explorer badging on this glossy black plastic. There's also the Ford badging on the top, the wiper for the rear glass. There's also a body colored spoiler given on the top, and some more skirtings on the bumper and also on the inside too. And the bottom, there is this normal plastic bumper going around, and just at the bottom there are these glossy plastic bits provided on either side, but there are no fake exhaust tips or anything, so they are hiding behind the bumper. And there are also reflector strips out here, and also the trailering hook out here. So in terms of the trailering capacity, this Explorer with a 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine can trailer up to 5,000 pounds So that's like, yeah, good amount of capacity. There are also the brake lines and the power supply outlets also provided next to that, so you can connect the trailer directly and it shows you on your infotainment screen with all the details. Now in terms of the visibility, it's all right because the glass is vertical, so you get good center lane visibility, but if there are passengers in the third row or seat, then it might hinder a little bit, but otherwise if you fold down those headrests, then the visibility is quite clear in that sense. Now in order to open the trunk door, the button is provided in the door itself on the right side. You press that and it's electronically operated. So there are scuff plates, as I mentioned, in the back and also on the bumper itself, so that you don't scratch your paint work. Now in terms of the capacity, when the third row of seats are folded, you can put 16.3 cubic feet of luggage, which is decent, not bad, because yeah, you can put like 2 small bags or 3 small bags into the back, and there is also more space at the bottom of this trunk floor, so there you can put like smaller things on the inside and remove these plastic bits also on the sides and extend it. And the bottom of that also sits a temporary spare wheel that's been provided on this Explorer, and there are also tying hooks also given on the floor itself and not much steps, so it's just much more easier to slide your luggage in and out. There's also a 12-volt power socket along with a trunk light and also the buttons to fold down the third row of seats. Now the third row of seats are electronically foldable, and the best part about them is that in most of the cars when you have electronically foldable seats, so what happens is you have to keep the buttons pressed, but on this you just press it once and the seats would fold down. And if you want to simultaneously fold down both the seats, there is a dedicated button for that, which is the L+R. So you press that, the headrests fold down and the seats also fold down, which is just so much more convenient because then you don't have to keep the seats pressed, like the buttons pressed. Now the reason that seat has come up is because the second row seat is a little on the back side, so let me slide it forward for it to fold down, and then we can fold down the left side of seat. There's a dedicated button for that, so you fold them down, and when the third row of seats are folded down, there is a lot of space now to put a lot of things, because you can easily put like 4 big bags into like massive big bags that I'm talking about, and then more smaller bags on the top. So now the space starts to make a lot more sense. The floor is also quite flat that way. Now in order to fold down the second row of seats, so on this Explorer it's the 6 seat setup that's been provided, which means the second row of seats are the captain seats, and in order to fold them down, there's a lever provided on the side. So out here there is a child seat. I'm going to do the other side and show you when we fold them down. So when the second row of seats are also folded down, you can put 75.3 cubic feet of luggage, which is massive, and the floor itself is quite flat, just that between the second and the third row of seats there's a bit of a gap, but like if you have very long objects, then those would anyways just fit in quite easily. So yes, in terms of the utilization of the trunk space, it's huge. Like there is a lot of trunk space that's been offered on this Explorer, especially when you fold down both the rows of seats. And then one more convenient feature is if you want to fold these seats up, the third row of seats, then you press the button and it just comes up, which is pretty handy, especially if you have a lot of shopping bags. Now in order to close the door, you press this button and let the trunk door close itself. Well, the interiors also have been redesigned on this new Explorer, and now you get more softer materials all across inside the cabin and less of the plastic that was one of the complaints from a lot of customers, because yeah, some of the surfaces were lined with some normal plastic, but on this Explorer ST line, yeah, there are surprisingly good surfaces, especially where you're going to be interacting. Yeah, that's where some good use of material has been done. So let's begin from the dashboard. On the top face there is soft touch materials, and on the side face of this dashboard there is fabric material, which is still softer than just the plastic. And then even on the side face of this dashboard at the bottom side, again it's leather covered with the red color stitching. The glove box again is in plastic. The door cards are again soft touch material where you're going to be resting hands. That's again leather covered with the red color stitching on the sides around this button. Yeah, decent plastic is what I would say. Switches and then silver color trims, and around the door handles also there is like plastic trim that's meant to look like aluminium. And again, even around these air conditioning vents and everywhere there is that. There's also Explorer badging out here, and there's also Explorer outline on the glass itself, and also on the side out here in the center tunnel where they've shown like the progress of the Explorer cars, so generation after generation how it has shaped. So yeah, that's cool to see on the side, on the passenger side. There are also mood lights provided in the door cards, in the footwell, in the gear shifter around here, in the dashboard itself, and even on this dashboard face. So all of those lights can be changed from inside this infotainment screen where you go into vehicle settings and the ambient lights. So 7 different colors to choose from, and the brightness, so simple and straightforward in terms of functioning and controlling those ambient lights. And then soft material even on the handrest out here with the red color stitching. Seats are combination of fabric and leather, and there are some places again in the back of this center tunnel where there's normal plastic. In this center tunnel also there is like plastic, but yes, that looks a bit normal and not very eye pleasing to look at. And I'm sure this is done for longer durability because this is also a 4-wheel drive car, so maybe you will take it for off-road excursions, and then you want the materials to last longer. But yes, there's plastic here that can be improved. And then even on the side face there's leather covered with the red color stitching, which is nice because if you're going to be resting your legs against that during longer journeys, that's soft where it's needed. Again, steering is leather covered with the red color stitching. And in terms of the quality, there is definite improvement compared to the previous generation, and less of those horrible plastic materials, although there is some at the bottom side of this door card and even on the passenger side near the glove box and all, but still much better than the previous generation. Now when we come to the driver's display, so there is a 12.3-inch digital driver's display, and in terms of the appearance not much changes, although there is some amount of changes when you go into the different menu options. I'm going to come to that. So there is a dial on either side, so the left side is for the RPM and the right side is for the speedometer, and more information at the bottom and the top, and information in the center that can be changed using the buttons given on the right hand side of the steering wheel. So you go into the main option. So the first option is the calm view. So if you leave it in the calm view, then the whole information would disappear and only digital speed and your range is shown, although I don't want to see the range because again that would give me more anxiety when I see the range. So maybe range can be removed. And the next option is the driver assistance and then the map view. So if you leave it in the map view, then the rev counter disappears and the entire thing is consumed by the maps and digital speed on the right side, which is again a good thing. I like this view. Then the fuel economy and trip 1 information, trip 2, then the temperature gauges, and then you can customize what information that you see on those screens. We go back, and then the main menu option where there is trip and fuel. Then there is the status information about the car, trailer, temperature gauges, off-road status, so off-road gauges also, vehicle maintenance, and then audio, phone, and the speedometer in miles per hour. So it would show you both on the right hand dial. So that's if you go into US, and then if you want to see the speed in miles per hour, it's going to come in quite handy. So that's basically how you use the digital driver's display and all the information that you see on that. Simple and straightforward. Now when we come to the steering wheel, so this is a leather covered steering wheel with the red color stitching, Ford badging in the middle, and buttons provided on either side, no paddle shifters or anything. And the steering wheel is electronically adjustable, which is tilt and telescopic. There are also sensors in front of this steering behind that, so like big rectangular bar that you would see, and those are for the Ford's Blue Cruise, so they monitor you so that you keep a visibility on the road and don't take your hands off and all. So it's for that purposes. So there are buttons provided on the right side to change the driver's display as well as the media controls given at the bottom, and on the left side there are buttons provided for the adaptive cruise control and the Ford's Blue cruise, which is 1.2 variant given on that, and also more media control buttons like the volume and everything at the bottom. So yeah, again, the steering is also pretty surprisingly slimmer and also smaller also compared to a lot of other Ford cars where the steering wheels are slightly on the chunkier side, but on this it's alright. It's slightly flat bottom at the bottom side also. Now when we come to the air conditioning controls, so the air conditioning controls are sitting at the bottom of this infotainment screen, so no physical buttons or anything, but it's all inside the infotainment screen. So yeah, my only concern is if the infotainment screen stops working, then yeah, you're in a bit of a pickle, because how do you operate then the air conditioning controls? Because you can live without the media controls, but then air conditioning controls, yeah, that's something that you need to be there, which is why physical dials and buttons, yeah, you know, I would prefer that than yeah them. But yes, so the air conditioning controls can be controlled from there while on the move. So you can switch it on and off by pressing the fan speed and then temperature on either side. So you get tri-zone air conditioning system on this Explorer ST line, and then on the other side you can change the temperature. You can even flick it up and then change it like in a slider fashion for the fan speed, temperature on and either side, and fan speed also, and then to go into the more detailed changes like where the flow of air and everything is by pressing that middle option, and then you can change the flow of air and then synchronize, and then even change the rear temperature and the fan speed, switch it on and off, or control everything from here, and again lock it also from here. So that's how you use the air conditioning controls from inside this screen. Now there are also heated seats provided in the front as well as in the second row. So the driver and the passenger side seat is the heated seats, and the buttons are again given on this infotainment screen inside this air conditioning control. So you press that option and then you can switch on that heated seat or leave it in auto on either side. And there's also the heated steering wheel option that's been provided out here next to the driver side control. So that's where you switch on the heated steering wheel option. Now when you come to this infotainment screen, so this is a 13.2-inch infotainment system provided, and it now works on Google's Android operating system, and it's also got its own data package and everything. So Google Maps would function. There's also YouTube, so you can use that too when you're parked, obviously not when you are driving the car. So the main options are right there on the screen. So there's Google Maps, and it's just much more easier to function this way because you are familiar with Google Maps, so you don't have to learn a new set of navigation systems. So you go inside and then yeah, straightforward. All the options are quite familiar because you use it on your phones also. Then the guest mode or the driver mode, then the phone, and then the audio option. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using Bluetooth, USB, and there's wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's also Sirius XM trial package provided. Then there is the vehicle option where there is the ambient light, hill descent control, and the seats option. So you can control these seats also because the front driver and the passenger side seats are the massage seats, or you can go inside and you can even control various features on the back side, the backrest of the seats, so that can be controlled, or the massage also. I'm going to come to that soon. Then the valet mode, vehicle status, and the all settings that you can go from inside here. The vehicle settings and the more detailed options are below that. So the Play Store, Google Assistant, phone, Vivaldi, Waze, car fireplace, which shows you like a fire and also plays the sound of a fire on the inside. Currently it's raining quite a lot, so yeah, this feature looks convincing to give me some sort of warmth. And then the YouTube, Bluetooth audio, Spotify, Sirius XM, Prime Video, weather, games, all of that, Apple CarPlay, FM, Alexa, towing options, hotspot, owner's manual, software updates, over the air updates, and then the detailed settings where there is like the sound settings. So you get 10 speaker Bang & Olufsen surround sound system on this Explorer. It sounds pretty good, especially because this car is so big, so the sound kind of reverbs on the inside quite well. Then there is the Bluetooth option, driver assistance, then the vehicle option, 30-minute idling, lighting, remote start, windows, wipers, power, tailgate locks, mirror systems, then the profile, then display, network and internet, 911 assist, location, notifications, privacy, security, accessibility, apps, and the Google services and the preferences, and then we come out into the main home option, and then you can slide down from the top for any notifications. If there are any on this car, it would show you there. So that's how you use this infotainment screen. It sits quite on the higher side, so it's always there in your visibility, but it does not hinder your visibility in the front glass, so it does not hinder that, so that's a good thing. But it's still there at your eye level, so it's just much more easier to operate also, and it's quite closer to the driver too, so again, that's also one more factor that's easier. There is also a volume dial provided at the bottom underneath the air conditioning vents, and some more buttons provided here for the engine start stop and the parking assist, the hazard lights, then the 360-degree camera option. And then when you press that 360, the cameras are decent, but yeah, the quality of that can be improved, but you have a lot of variety to select in terms of the front view or the broader view, and then the towing view when there is something towed, then yeah, you can have that view, or the rear view. So all of those can be selected, and also the 3D view is always there on the right side of the screen, but it occupies the entire screen, which is a good thing. Then the traction control buttons and all of those buttons at the bottom. Now when we come to the charging, so there is a wireless charging pad underneath these buttons, and also there's this door that you open, you press that, and then there are two more USB ports, one type C and one normal, along with a 12-volt power socket. There are also two more type C USB ports underneath this armrest, and there are two more type C USB ports given for the second row of passengers, as well as a plug point, and two more type C USB ports that are given for the third row of passengers. Now on this Ford Explorer, there is this circular dial that's been provided for shifting into different gears, and it's shift by wire, and it's pretty straightforward: reverse, neutral and drive, or the low range mode, and you come back into the parking. But yes, you have to get used to this dial system also, but yeah, it's quite easy once you figure out how it functions. Then there is also a drive mode button in the back too, so it's like the dial, so you just simply put it into different driving modes and provided on this Explorer. So there are 6 different modes. So first is the tow haul, then the sport mode, then the eco, and there is a lot of animation also that is going on the screen on the driver's display. Then there is the normal mode, which shows you like the urban setup, then the slippery and the off-road mode. Now on this Ford Explorer, there are also these extendable sun visors and also a panoramic sun roof, which is quite big, but I'm not going to open the actual sunroof because it's pouring down right now and I don't want the car to get wet. But as you can see, it just makes the whole interior feel so much more airy and bright on the inside, and the door closing is also quite quick that way, the cover for the sunroof. So let me just cover it completely right now. In terms of the storage, so in the door cards you can put about 1 to 1.5 liter water bottle and some more storage in the back, and there is also this wireless charger and a pad next to that. You can put your phones when they are charging. There is this storage underneath like that, wireless charger, the door for that when you open, and then you have those charging ports. You can leave your phones and wallets in there, and also close that door and store something on the top. There are 2 flexible cup holders, some more storage in the back, this big armrest in which you can put 4 half a liter worth of bottle, this glove box which is big enough, pretty big. There's also this slot on the side next to the passenger side seat to put your phones when they are charging. Same goes for the passenger side seat. There's also the sunglass holder. Now in terms of the seats, so the seats are the mixture of fabric and leather seats, and they have the red color stitching also on the edges, and these seats are pretty comfortable for the long-term use, and they feel like your chair in the house. They are that comfortable, and mainly to do with the fact that because they've used the fabric material, that makes the seats feel actually much more softer than otherwise like the leather seats would be. And the advantage is that even during summers and winters, they don't get hot or cold especially. So yeah, in winters they wouldn't be very cold, and in summers they wouldn't be too hot to sit on it. So the fabric material is offering that advantage also. And in terms of the overall comfort, yes, it offers a lot of that, and with so much of adjustability, there's good amount of lumbar option also available in the back, and these seats are quite broad too. So during the longer journeys you actually feel very cocooned inside them, and there's good amount of side support, and at the bottom it's much more flatter that way. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that. And then these headrests, they are also like quite straightforward, and yeah, they are softer. Now also, because these seats are adjustable in so many different ways, there's good amount of under thigh support also, and the bottom bit is also quite long enough to offer more support too. Now in terms of the adjustability, so the driver and the passenger side seat is like 8-way electronically adjustable and 4-way lumbar adjustment, as well as more adjustments are possible from within this infotainment screen to adjust the back support in the lumbar adjustment also. And there is also dedicated buttons provided on both the sides, but a bit unmarked in the middle of those lumbar buttons. So you press that button, and on the infotainment screen it shows you the massage options for lower rolling, upper rolling, circular, full recovery, or the relaxed recovery. And then there are 3 stages to that also, the intensity, and then you can even control the seat adjustments next to that. And yeah, you can click on screen options, so 3 different options are possible. And same goes for the passenger side seat also. You can adjust different options in the backrest and the massage option. Now this Explorer ST line is optioned with the captain seats for the second row, and as a result of that, you would notice that these seats have this armrest. And not just that, these seats are also pretty broad in that sense, but they offer a lot of knee room here, so almost more than a full palm of knee room. And also the headroom is decent, but someone above 6 feet may start brushing their heads against the ceiling. But the good thing is that these seats are also slidable, so there you go, I can give more space to the third row of passengers if there is needed, but otherwise yeah, then I won't have a lot of space left. But while there are no passengers, let me utilize the full space and show you. You can even slide your legs under the seats to get extra bit of space to free up your legs during the longer journeys. And the seats themselves, again, they are the same fabric and the leather seats with the red color stitching, and the seats are more on the flatter side, although they do have a bit of angle, the bottom bit, but still they are essentially the flat seats. And the seats themselves are pretty broad too, and both of the handrests on either side, on the door cards and also on the seat, they are at the same level, so that at least makes sure that you are sitting equally and resting your hands. And in terms of the under thigh support, that's slightly missing, as you can make out from the angle that my legs are making. But the seats, yeah, they are the bottom side, again that's also quite long enough, but the seats themselves are quite on the lower side, and that's how they've been able to give you that headroom also. But yeah, it's decent, I would say. And the good thing is that because these seats are the fabric seats, plus they are the heated seats, the buttons are given out here in the center console where the air conditioning control is for the second and the third row, so you can switch them on. And plus the fabric seats make sure, the fabric bit in the middle makes sure that these seats are quite comfortable, even though these headrests are on the slimmer side, but they are still soft enough. Now in terms of the tunnel in the center, it doesn't matter because there is no middle seat. But if you were to spec this car as a 7-seater, so there will be a continuous middle seat, so there's a bit of a tunnel out here, but not too much that it would hinder the middle passenger. There are also rubber mats provided on this. And in terms of the door card quality, there's softer material in the door cards too, which is still continued. Where you're going to be resting hands, there's leather cover with the red color stitching, and then there are cup holders provided in the front, and that's where some more cheap plastic shows up again. And at the bottom you can put about 1 liter worth of bottle and some more storage on the sides, and then again normal plastic. There's also this sun blinder for the second row of passengers for extra bit of privacy, or if there are kids in the back, then you can cover them so the sun doesn't come on them directly. And there are also grab handles given for the second row on either side. Now in terms of the temperature controls, so the controls are given out here behind the center console. There's also Explorer badging out here too, and the controls are straightforward, on and off, and then dials on either side to control the fan speed and the temperature, make it cool or hot, and the flow of air in the middle, and at the bottom the heated seat button. And there is also 2 more cup holders that can be folded down from within that, or you can fold them away. There are also pocket storages behind the driver and the passenger side seats. So in terms of the storage, yes, there are plenty of cup holders and all those are provided, but the cup holders that are given on the door cards are just the normal cup holders, but not the flexible ones. And if you're wondering where the air conditioning vents are, so they are given on the roof in the second row, and the backrest is also reclinable, so you can just recline it, of course, when there are no passengers in the third row of seats. So as you can see, you can have a very relaxing position, and then you can really stretch out yourself in the second row of seats. So in the third row, things are a bit tight. So the second row seat, I've just slided it forward slightly to keep it somewhere in the middle, so as to show you if there are passengers in the third row, then how you can arrange that. And after that, I have about 2 to 3 fingers worth of knee room, and the headroom, again, yeah, that's also plenty, somewhere about 6 feet 1 inch. Yeah, then we'll start brushing their heads. There's also a bit of a cutout provided to give you extra bit of headroom in the third row. But as you can make out, I'm sitting quite low down into these seats. These seats are nearly there on the floor, and that's how they've been able to increase that headroom. And if you can make out from my angles, yeah, there's literally no support underneath my thigh, and these seats are also like completely flat seats. And now in the rear, these the third row, the seats are completely in leather and not the fabric material. They have red color stitching, and then these very slim headrests, so they are not, in fact my head doesn't even reach there all the way. So yeah, that's the thing. But in terms of 2 passengers in the third row, yes, they can fit in there, but it's not very long term setup, because if you're going on longer journeys, then it's not for that. It's more of a short sort of setup. There are also more plastic bits in the back, the material quality, and there are also more slots and cup holders provided for the third row of passengers. And even on the window out here next to that, there is another slot provided, but these windows do offer some extra bit of visibility also, so as to not make you feel claustrophobic on the inside. And on the right side, there are 2 types USB ports along with another slot to put your phones there. And there are vents provided on the roof for the third row of passengers, and as you can see, there's one of the vents missing. In order to slide these seats away, so there's a lever provided on the back side of the second row of seats. So you pull that and you fold these seats away, and then you can come out from the car. So it's decently easy to just come in and out of this, because the opening is pretty big that way, so it's going to be easier to just get in and out of this car. But let me just pull these seats completely back, the second row, and show you how much room is left if I put these seats completely back. So yeah, now you can see like there's not much room left. In fact, I'm glad that the second row is a captain seat, so I have that extra bit of room out here to stretch my legs in that opening out there between the 2 seats in the second row. But yes, if you were to fit adult here, then it's not gonna happen. But the good thing is that there are 2 child ISOFIX points, so you can put your babies in the third row. So this new Ford Explorer ST line is powered by a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine, which essentially is a turbocharged engine that produces 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. And this engine is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission that sends the power to all the 4 wheels via a 4-wheel drive system. And on the ST model itself, there is a V6 3-liter engine, which is a twin turbo engine that produces 400 horsepower. That's for the ST line, and also for the Platinum, which is an optional. But coming to this one, so this engine for daily purposes, it's decent and it's all right. It will do all the work, and it also can tow 5,000 pounds too. So that way it's all right. But yes, it's not for something if you want to just accelerate quickly out of the traffic, or if you suddenly ask for the power. It takes good 1.5 seconds to respond to the throttle. So yeah, that's a little delay in terms of the response. And also the peak torque comes in at around 3,500 rpm, which is quite a high one. So usually within the city or even on the highways, you're going to be cruising around 2,500 rpm. So yeah, that's where your operating range is going to be. So 3.5 is quite a high number to achieve to reach the peak torque. But then nonetheless, for daily use, as I said, it's all right. But yes, it's not going to be a very punchy engine in any sense. And in terms of the gear shifts, well, they are okay. There is 10 speed, but you cannot take over the control, and the 10 speeds themselves are pretty smooth. Some of the occasions here and there when it's downshifting, it can be a little clunky, or if you try to put it into the drive and then start to drive off, and that time it can feel a bit clunky. But otherwise, most of the times nearly it is quite smooth in terms of going through all the 10 gears. Now in terms of the power delivery, because this thing has a 4-wheel drive, so there are numerous different modes like the snow mode, mud, and also the trailering. So it's gonna do that job very well. It's gonna be able to do off-roading also. But yes, it's quite heavy as a car too, and this engine sometimes can feel a bit weak to perform certain operations when there is a lot of power needed. But yes, if you take it off-road, it will still perform and be a crawler in that sense. Now when we come to the fuel efficiency, so from this 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine on the highways during longer runs, I managed to get around 8.8 to 8.9 liters per 100 kilometers, which is close to 8.6. And within the city, if the traffic is a stop go and kind of heavier, then it varies between 13 to 13.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So yeah, that's the more realistic range that you can expect in terms of the fuel economy. Now when we come to the suspensions, so the suspensions are pretty decent on this thing. They offer good amount of comfort, and they absorb the bumps also quite well. It's not a very jerky ride, so the dampers and the suspensions are doing that job very well. There's also the roll that is kept quite in check, even though these are just the standard suspensions, but pretty much good control in terms of how it leans from side to side. Plus these 21-inch wheels, and the tires, they are all-terrain tires, but they are still offering good cushion in terms of absorbing the bumps. Some of the bumps, sometimes if you go through like continuous ones, then yeah, it struggles slightly to absorb some of them. But yes, most of the times it functions well. Now when you come to the chassis itself, so I feel like, I'm sitting on top of the car, like not inside as a part. That's something, I don't know, these chairs make me feel like that. The chairs themselves are super comfortable, but yes, it does give me that feeling that I'm driving on top of the car. Now when we come to the steering, so there's an electronic steering on this, and in terms of the response, it's like a typical big SUV kind of response. So it's good. There's decent feedback, and if you put it into sport mode also, all it does is like increases the RPMs, and when it changes the gears, it makes the engine a little sportier in that sense. The gear shifts also much more aggressive, but steering slightly firmer. But yes, nonetheless it's still quite soft, and it's more focused towards the urban driving, so in that sense, and also off-roading if you go, because there's constant turning around, so you need a bit of softer setup too. And in terms of the turning radius, now that is something which is pretty impressive on this. It can actually turn in a very small distance, and for an SUV 7-seater, this is actually a pretty good thing. It's going to be very maneuverable within the city or in a tight parking spot. Now when you come to the brakes, so there are 4 disc brakes, performance disc brakes on this Explorer ST line. And in terms of the braking performance, it's a bit spongy. Now, as I said, there's a bit of a weight to this car, so yeah, it takes a little while to slow down. And also the brake pedal is a bit spongy too. It is progressive, but yes, there is a sponginess to that, there's softness to that pedal setup also. And the brakes, yes, they would, yeah, if you put an emergency brakes, then they would work very well. And these are the performance brakes, so they are slightly improved from the standard Explorer. Now, when you come to the noise and the vibrations, so there's not much noise that I've encountered, surprisingly, on the inside, even though these are 21-inch wheels. But the cabin itself is quite silent on the inside. There's not much tire noise, and the wind whooshing is also in control. Just that the engine sometimes, yeah, can be a bit loud and can be heard on the inside, and it's not exactly very, yeah, pleasant sound from that 2.3 liter 4-cylinder engine sound. But yes, on highways it's going to be all right. But then you have the Bang & Olufsen 10 speaker music system. You can switch that on and enjoy and forget about all the various noise on the outside. Now, when we come to the safety systems, so there are 7 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are 2 curtain airbags given in the pillars, and there is also 1 driver's knee airbag. Then there are child isofix points in the second row in both the captain's seats, and also in the third row in both the seats. There is also a 360-degree camera system, but the output, as I said, can be improved, because in the day it's still a bit grainy and it's not that refined in terms of its output. So yeah, that is something that can be improved. And the block of car, that is something that, yeah, can be put like a proper car, and then you can utilize maybe a 3D view and all sort of that. I don't know, yeah, maybe that can be done. And in terms of the other safety systems, there's also Ford's Blue Cruise. That is the front and the rear collision warning, pedestrian warnings. Then there is also the reminder, EBD, ABS, tire pressure monitoring system, lane keep assist, lane departure warning, blind spot warning. Everything, every single thing has been offered on this Explorer ST line 2. Now, in terms of the pricing, so the base variant, which is the Active, starts from 53,280 Canadian dollars, whereas the ST line, which is this one with the optional extra, will cost you somewhere around 64,110 Canadian dollars, whereas the Platinum variant would come again at 64,000 Canadian dollars, but that's because this car is fitted with a lot of optional extras, 7,500 to be precise. And the top of the line, which is the ST, which comes with the V6 twin turbocharged engine, that will come in at 71,000 Canadian dollars. Now, in terms of the pricing, I get 71,000 is a lot of money for the ST, but the Active variant is something which is a good proposition, because it starts from 53,000. You get the same screens and all the same layout in terms of the offering, so that's not going to be different. It's just that it would have like fabric seats and some of the lower end stuff, but otherwise for day-to-day use you get the same 4-wheel drive, and also you can keep it rear wheel drive if you want to still cut down on the cost. So all those options are also available. But this ST line is something if you want the comfort for daily cruising and the captain seats, and you can opt for all of that. And the Platinum variant is something that you can opt if you want to fully spec it out, and ST is something if you're looking for more performance oriented, and definitely if you go off-roading, because it's got 400 horsepower, so that will help you in terms of that too. So it's a very balanced model lineup if you are opting for that. But yes, there needs to be some improvement in terms of the quality overall, is what I've found. Like if you notice, like the vent on the third row was missing, some of the plastic qualities here and there, but in terms of the appearance, it's got big broad look from the front and the rear, and it's spacious. Can be improved in terms of little bit in the third row, especially the seating position, and also the second row can offer a little bit of headroom and stuff. But yes, it's there. It's got the advanced tech also now on the inside, but there is definite improvement in terms of the material quality that is offered overall. So it's still not a bad choice in terms of the mid-size SUV. If you are looking for, I would place it in the top 5 if you would ask me. Now that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe to my channel, because a lot of you are not subscribing. In fact, 90% are just watching the video and not subscribing. It's free, just subscribe. And also, while you do that, press on the bell icon and leave all the notifications on, so that you don't miss any of these reviews, detailed reviews. And if you like this video, make sure to press that thumbs up button. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.